Hi, everyone. So I'd like to welcome you to our last final session, final meeting in our orientation program. We will, like I said at the beginning, we will have other programs in the future, hopefully in the near future. So we will see you again. But for now, for this particular program, this is the last session. So today we will, there are other people joining us. We will have a review, a short review for today's, for the entire week program. Hopefully, if you have any questions, because no one sent us any questions. So if there is anything, please ask, because I don't want to leave anything behind, any questions unanswered. Okay. All right. Let's see. We'll share a screen. All right. So let's make a quick review. All right. So at the beginning of the week, we sent you 2 recorded sessions regarding the Israeli culture. We spoke about geography, beautiful places where you should visit, public transportation. So we also spoke about communication and how we communicate here in Israel. So in Israel, like we said, we communicate by direct communication. So people will probably refer to you by your first name, and you can do the same. Like we keep approaching you by your first name. Okay. It doesn't mean that they're rude or it's disrespectful. It's just the way we communicate. And now, people might approach directly to you. Okay. If they have any questions or anything, and it's a normal behavior. Okay. People in Israel are very friendly, very touchy between friends. If it's hugs or kisses, jokes, a tap on the shoulder, or if it makes you feel uncomfortable, please put your boundaries and say so. If you feel that it's unpleasant, it makes you feel that they into your personal space. So just be aware. It doesn't mean that they mean harm necessarily, but this is just the way we behave, and it's a normal behavior. Of course, I trust your intuition and the dynamic. You know how to contact and communicate others. Now Israeli use their body language, so we use our hands, and you can see our expression, facial expression, and we move our body a lot, and we speak in a loud tone sometimes. Some people, again, it's not necessarily say that they mean harm, that they angry at you. It's just some people just speak very loud. And okay. Now, on our second recorded, the second from the two that we sent at the beginning, we spoke about public transportation. So we spoke about Ravkav, the multi-line card, where you can, well, you use a smart card, and this is the best way, easy way to move around here in Israel when you use public transportation, because it's included the buses, trains. It's convenient. You have different cards, which is personal, anonymous, and semi-anonymous. And the personal card, you'll have your photo on it. It's free of charge. You have a lot of perks when you get this personal card. You fill it with money, you get a discount for the public transportation, and you have an insurance. That means that if it will get damaged or lost, something will happen to the card, and you can go and get a new card. And when it's personal, you get they get your details, and they can transfer the amount of money and everything that you have. If you have any plans for specific routes here in Israel, they be able to transfer all of it to the new card. But a new card will cost you 10 shekels, which is not a lot when you're getting this kind of insurance for your money and benefit. Now, the anonymous card and semi-anonymous, you will have to pay 5 shekels to buy the card, but you don't have your photo on it, and no benefits. And in case of damage, or if it's stolen, you're not getting your money back. You don't have the insurance. After today's meeting, I will send you a link to Ravkav, okay, for further explanations, more information, and I'll send you also a link for the app. You can download the app, and then you can do everything regarding Ravkav. If you need to recharge it or anything related, if you want to see what you have on your Ravkav, you'll be able to do that. Now, how you're getting your Ravkav, you can speak to the family of your employer or placement agency. It will probably be by the help of your employer and his or her family. You should go to central bus station, central train station, and you'll be able to get it there. All right. Sarah. Oh, we can hear you, Sarah. You're on mute.
There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. So we will review things that I spoke to you about. Basic values in caregiving work, if you remember. Talked about human dignity, autonomy, being tolerance, empathy, and compassion. I think we all kind of know what those mean. I want to say one thing about how to call our client or patient. You know, sometimes because you want to be personable, okay, close, you know, show a feeling of closeness. I hear sometimes, you know, caregivers calling their clients father or mother or grandma or something like that. So I would not assume that this is something that a person would necessarily want you to call him. So Anat talked about the fact that we're impersonal here in Israel, and that means that, that we're informal. And that means that even children in school call their teachers by their first name without a miss or a Mrs. or something like that, just straight out Anat or Sarah or whatever the name may be. And so I highly recommend that you ask your client or patient what they would like you to call them, and not to assume. I tell you that if I ever was in a situation where I needed a home caregiver, I would not want to be called mom or dad or grandma by anyone but my own children and my own grandchildren. So not to assume anything. This is very important, okay? So ask what they'd like to be called. If they want to be called Mr. Kukuriku, that's fine. But if I would assume they'd like to be called by their first name. And next slide, Anat. Good. Intercultural encounter. Intercultural differences are differences in tradition, food, norms, beliefs, and values, which vary between nations, people, ethnic groups, ethnic speakers of different languages. Every culture has its own way of expressing itself. Every culture has its own way of defining conflict, passing messages, resolving conflict, and talking about it. Every culture has its own way to express emotions and talk about emotions. And as Anat said, in Israel, we'd like to think that we're very direct, but I think this is a very personal kind of a thing. And even though people may say to you, you're fat, you're skinny, you're tall, you're thin, things that maybe in other cultures may not be so appropriate to say directly. But I think in terms of emotions, I think people are just as reserved as anywhere else, depending on the relationship that you build with them. So I think we spoke also about the fact that building a relationship is very important. Building a trust relationship is even more important. And then you get to know, what people really feel and what they really think. Next slide. Okay. Can't hear you, Anat.
I apologize. Thank you. All right. So in our recordings, we also spoke about visa and visa extensions. There is a lot of information, so we won't be able to speak about all of it. I'll just give a few points, and I recommend to go back and check the presentation, the recorded that we sent you regarding the visa and visas extension, and you can also find it in your contract. So some of the things that we talked about. In your court contract, you sign that you can stay and work here in Israel for 51 months. If you're getting if you're going to your last year, if you're with the same employer, and or not necessarily the same, but you need to stay more than 12 months in a row in order to get an approval to stay longer, as long as the employer is still need your help and they're asking for you. They need to contact the authorities, placement agency, whoever needed, and extend your visa. In case you the last 12 months of your staying here in Israel, for some reason you're no longer an employer, for some reason they don't need your care anymore since they moved to a facility, or if they pass away. In those 12 months last year of your staying here, the placement agency and people may use your help in filling up spots where other caregivers are going on vacation to visit their families, and they need someone to stay there instead for that period of time. And then when you get to your 51 month, you go back home. And now, let's see, in your visa, you have the geographical area where you are allowed to work. Okay, you won't be able to work in other locations here in Israel. Yeah, you have an area, and if you want to change an employer, it should be in that particular area where you are allowed to work. All right. Okay. Now, if you want to leave or change your employer, so in case you want to leave or change your employer, it should be after you try your best to make a genuine and sincere attempt to stay, to solve any issues that you have with your employer or the family. Only in that case that you tried, you don't need to ask for permission to leave, but you do have to give a prior written notice. Okay, you need to resign, and you need to send it according to what mentioned in your contract. Let's say that when you give a prior notice, there is a particular time where you should stay there till they will find a replacement. So that's very important. Now, I'd like to remind you that we said sometime in the beginning that when you leave an employer, if you change employer often, PIBA will notice, and you taking a risk by being deported. So they're truly looking to see if you're making a sincere attempt of resolving any difficulties, issues that you might have. And please try your best, because sometimes it's just miscommunication, or some of the side need to have a little of understanding and patience for the other side. So just please be patient and try to resolve any issues that may occur. All right, so how did we cover? So I like to repeat, if you're planning to change your employer, you don't need to ask for permission. You just need to have your written notice for your caregiver, and you have a time where you should stay before you actually leave. And you need to inform your placement agency, and they will assign you to a new employer. Okay, or in case you want to change a placement agency, that's also possible. They just need to be registered and legal. And regarding the geographic limitation on your visa and change of employer, you need to pay attention that the new employer is in that geographic area where you're allowed to work. And special supervision of foreign caregivers who have frequent change of employment. Like we said, people will notice. They need to make sure that you don't do it often. Requirements concern and registration by foreign caregivers placement agency. And due to COVID-19 situation, like we said, it is very important to be aware and check. You can enter the links that I send you of Ministry of Health. Like I said, they frequently updating their website. Okay, so just follow the guidance of Ministry of Health. Now, the call center. Some of you may not have an Israeli SIM card yet. And you can use your employer or even placement agency to go and get an Israeli SIM card. And for those who already have Israeli SIM card, or for those that will have or eventually will have an Israeli SIM card, please register to our call center. Okay, in case of emergency, if you like to make a complaint, if you want to check about your rights, if you want to ask if there is something new, and above all, to keep informed, because we're staying in touch. We keep sending you not spam messages, but information, important information if there is something new. So I strongly recommend to register. Okay, it will be easier for you if you like to make a complaint or to talk to someone. If you're not sure about something, you can contact our call center, and hopefully we'll be able to help, because we're here for you. We're here to help.
I'm here. So we also spoke about building and developing a relationship with our patient or client, as I said, of course, with an emphasis on trust relationships. And of course, the steps are creating good communication. We talked about verbal and nonverbal communication, coordination of expectations. Very important to talk about expectations. You're not going to solve all of their problems. You're not going to be their new husband, wife, entertainer, and so on. We're going to talk about, we talked about building trust, creating an alliance, okay, a partnership of what it is that is involved in making their life better and taking into account social and cultural components. I want to talk a little bit more now about how the corona virus has affected most of these disabled people, especially here in Israel. Maybe it's affected everyone. I don't think there's a human being on the planet that hasn't been in some way affected by this corona in the last 2 years. But I think you should be minded that disabled people that are living at home have been their life has changed in so many ways. And so I think it's very important that you understand that even if they were disabled before, the fact that they were closed into their home and perhaps not seeing family as much, or being more anxious and more tense about going out and being exposed to other people, and being more afraid, having their health maybe jeopardized by the virus, and being more suspicious of anyone that comes and goes into their home. And of course, many people become depressed, detached. They don't maintain the relationships that they've had perhaps with friends or with even family members, especially young people. At first, they said not to be in touch, and yes to be in touch. In short, excuse me, in short, everyone has been on a roller coaster. And for disabled people, all of that has a very large impact. Young people go back to work, go back to their life, but people that have their health and their, and everything is compromised, it's a very big deal. And they don't go back to where they were before. They just go 1 or 2 or 3 steps lower on the ladder of functioning. And so you must be minded that their life circles have been shrinking. Okay, the things that they've been involved in have become even more minimized. And I want to encourage you. Yesterday we heard Nympha talk about the fact that her client is demented, but even so, she tries to influence her to. She dances with her. She takes her to the park. She tries to play games with her. She sings with her. I think that you can take responsibility and not just being, a caregiver for the physical part of your client's life, but also for their emotional part. Not saying you're going to be a comedian and start, juggling balls in front of them, but I think that you can check and see how you can implement their connection with the outside world as much as possible. Get a list of all of the grandchildren, encourage them to call, get the phone numbers. They may be apathetic about it, but if you encourage them to do that they should call maybe once a week or once every so often to talk to their grandchildren, to initiate it, not to wait for them to call them. Or, make a list of their friends and also initiate calling them. Ask them if they have any special interest and try to connect them through the internet and so on. These instruments are not very readily part of older people's lives. And so perhaps with your help, they can be part of their new, new interaction with people, with situations, with music, with lectures, with all kinds of things that perhaps they were interested in the past. So I think that we all know that mind and body is connected. And by trying to maintain a person's well-being is, not just his physical well-being, but his emotional and psychological well-being as well. So I'm not saying that the first day you must do all of these, but I think you should be minded that it would be to your benefit as well as to their benefit. Take an active part in trying to be there for them in that way as well, to facilitate their interaction with as much in their, in the outside of their house as possible. Okay, next slide. Okay, so we talked about tools for effective communication. Understanding how others communicate can be a key to getting our message across to them in order to develop an effective communication style. We talked about a few tips to keep in mind. Take ownership, use the I statement, maintain eye contact, voice your needs and desires in a confident way, and don't forget to smile. Smile is in all languages, all over the world. In Africa, in the jungle, in China, and wherever you see people. Active listening, we talked about that. Active listening, find out what your patient's opinion and thoughts are, what his emotions are. Reflection, in order to make sure that you understood what your patient meant, try to reflect, go repeat what they say to make sure that you understand what they said, and that also gives them a feeling that they have been heard. And of course, empathy. Okay, we want to empathize with our client as much as possible. And we can do that. I want to tell you, we can do that if we know about their background, if we know their history, if we know what kind of issues they're dealing with, not just medically, but I think also, like I said before, on an emotional basis, on a psychological basis, if they miss their children, if they miss things that they've done in the past. And I will definitely tell you that most disabled people are generally grieving, okay? They're grieving about all the losses, and especially the losses of the things that they had in their life in the past and that they don't have anymore. People grieve not just for people that they've lost, but also for functions that have disappeared, okay, or have minimized or dissipated. So basically, disabled people are in a continuous state of grieving and continuously losing more and more functions. So this is something that if you're, if you can be attuned to that, you can definitely be more empathetic, okay? Well, next slide. Patience. Magic word, patience. Be patient with your patient and his family and with yourself. Okay, very important to be patient with yourself. It's going to take time. You're going to make mistakes, and it's okay. It's okay. The person that doesn't make mistakes is the person that doesn't do anything. Otherwise, if you're out there doing things, then every once in a while we make mistakes. We want to be tolerant, even if we don't agree with our patient or our client, okay? They may have negative things to say about this, about that, about us, perhaps. We have to be tolerant. We don't have to take it personally, and we don't have to be insulted. And of course, the magic of nonverbal communication, okay? That's really the part that is very important. We talked about, the feelings. And I think it was, who was it that talked about the fact that elderly people, sometimes we relate to them as children, but we have to be very careful not to completely see them as children, because they've been there before us, right? They know more than we know because they've been where we are now before us. And so even though their communication is somehow diminished, but their feelings are not. And so adults feel things that we haven't yet begun to feel yet, okay? But communication through feeling, through trying to understand, is very, very important, okay? And that's all about the nonverbal communication. Next slide. So tips for creating good relationships: mindful of how you start a conversation. Ask open questions. Ask every day, what do you want to eat? Even though you know exactly what the answer is going to be, ask again. I want to emphasize that people that are limited in their abilities have no way of having self-esteem or being independent. And there's nothing more degrading than not being able to choose the smallest things. And when you ask someone every day the same question, what do you want to eat? What do you want to wear? Where do you want to go? The fact that they're asked the question and they are given the opportunity to respond is a very big deal to people that are disabled. Don't forget that, okay? Don't assume, ask. It's always good to ask. They will never tell you you're asking the same question again. You may feel that you don't want to hear the same answer again, but yes, ask. Ask open questions, okay? Not yes or no, but open questions that they will have to respond in a sentence. Use the I statement. Be specific in the message that you want to transfer. When you're talking to someone that's disabled, perhaps his hearing, his eyesight is compromised. Obviously, he may not be speaking English so well. And your English is also a second language. Short, concise messages, simple words. Okay, very important. And of course, the magic sentence: give others the attitude that you want to receive. Okay, very important. Next slide. Smile.
Exactly, smile. And now, in one of our recorded presentation, we spoke about culture shock. and how to adjust to a new culture and to live in a new culture, a new country. And some of you may feel it already. For some, it may occur in the next few days or in a few weeks, few months. And for those who've been in other countries already, which I remember some of you been in other countries for many years, you may miss those countries. I'm kidding, you may not. So sometimes it's very hard to adjust to a new culture, new environment, new people, so different. The way we speak, the way we behave, and it's quite different. The Israeli mentality, it may be different from other countries. So look at that as a new, exciting period of time when you get to work and live in a new, different country. I recommend to just be a tourist, travel, travel, travel. Find out the amazing locations. Every time you have a time off, I recommend to travel or to rest and explore the area where it could be different locations or even the area around you. If it's the grocery shops or everything in the streets, public transportation, find new friends, not necessarily Filipinos or caregivers. It could be anyone. Have have new friends, build new relationships. It could be friends for life. Now, study the local language. It will help with your self-esteem, and it will help you getting around here in Israel. But most important, it will help you with your patient, with your employer. I think it will help you quite a lot. And we said at the beginning that you have free apps for that, and you can find links online on YouTube, and the variety is amazing. Just look for it. Now there is apps that you need to pay for in case you will decide to go that way and pay for an app, which is not necessarily gonna be better than those free apps. So just before you pay, just check the reviews online to make sure that you want their product and what they're offering to you. And now, like I said before, develop social life, meet new people. It will be fun. It will just help you. If you find a different caregivers, you may have um, other caregivers in the building or in the park or and from different cultures or the same. I think it can be fun to just share experience and vent sometimes. It could be nice, and like I think it could be nice. And now we recommend to stay in shape and stay proactive about your physical health. Pay attention to nutrition, to what you eat, your diet, your hygiene, and get regular rest. Very important. We don't want you to overwork and not get your rest. We all need that. Exercise when your employer is resting or asleep. Do that. Do whatever you need that will help you move on for the rest of the day and the evening and the next day. And really, like, stay, it will help you stay relaxed. And we recommend, and some have done that before, and they even made it an online something that they give for everyone, if it's exploring of Israel or the culture or even Hebrew lessons. And so I invite you to open your own blog or write a diary. It's gonna be quite exciting adventure here, and it could be something for the future for you to remember and share your family. Yeah. Now, regarding family, it's very important to stay in touch with your family, with your friends. If you have any events back at home, try to keep up with everything. Stay in touch. If you have kids or um, your relatives' birthdays, call, call. If you have kids, wake them up in the morning, settle time, and stay in touch. Okay, it's very important, and it will help you a lot. Now, regarding your communication with your family in a long distance, and to maintain long distance relationship, set up a specific time, if it's specific day or an hour. If you say every other day, like we can text on a daily basis, but every other day, let's make an online meeting with the family or personal, maintain personal relationships. Not if it, you can do a family gathering or a personal online meeting one-on-one, but for some people, after a long period of time, it may fade those um, touch with their families and friends. So make sure to maintain those relationships. Um, it it should be an um, um, it's a high quality communication. So you should um, keep time if you know that your employer is sleeping every day at the specific time, specific hour, and you will get to know your employer very well. Set up a time uh, with no interference, um, and no household worry, worries. Just just set up a time with your loved ones back at home, okay? And try to avoid certain any issues back at home and with your family and friends over text messages. The tone is different. Everything is different. Let them know. I recommend personally to do it over a video chat online. Okay, meet your loved ones online, face to face, and they will hear your tone and the way you speak. Again, it's very important. Okay, and like to for you to remember that long distance relationship is much deeper and less shallow communication. Okay, keep it deep. Okay, now you didn't send us any questions, so I thought that maybe you did ask questions during our online meetings, and you sent us questions, which I'm very glad that you did it. But in case you have any questions or concerns, if you like to bring any subject up, I invite you to do so. And now is the time. Of course, we will be available for you, and the call center is available, and you're more than welcome to approach and the placement agency and the family and your employer. But if you have any questions at the moment, I invite you to ask those questions. Anyone?
It's not a question. Hi, Ma'am Anat. It's not a
Hi.
question, but I totally agree that you mentioned about be a tourist. Uh, in my experience in 6 years in Cyprus, I really enjoy and I really appreciate the culture because of the word that you term be a tourist. I enjoy the food delicacies. I I know how to drink the proper wine or proper food in a proper event. So I not I guess, but I do believe that in my staying in Israel, I will do the same. Be a tourist and to know I've searched the hummus, the creamy dip that usually the Israeli use, and this bora borakis,
Burekas.
burekas. Yes, it's the same
Yeah.
bread in Israel, in Cyprus. I do hope that they put also like an olive, the black olive. I want to try it.
Only the
Only in
pizza
the
kind, because
pizza.
yeah, in the pizza you have olives, but there is so many kinds, different flavors, so that's good.
It's so nice to know that in this kind of Zoom meeting, the one that I experienced in Cyprus is way similar on how you discuss on how you approach us, that not only focus in our work but as well to enjoy the country, to enjoy the culture, learn a lot of things. So it's really good to know because it's my second time in working in another country, so it's really unexpected, not on for sure, not only for me but for the entire group, that there's a kind of group of people like you to approach us, to encourage us, to help us, which field or which kind of uh, in a way that we are comfortable to do our job, not only to be stressed which is really normal later on because there's a lot of adjustment, but you help us to find ways for us to enjoy, not only to focus on the money, sending a lot of money in the Philippines, but also to enjoy the culture, because this kind of opportunity is a once in a lifetime. We will never know after 2 years, or you want to go back in your country, at least you have a good memory. This is holy land. You need to enjoy the place. So thank you so much.
That's
Oh,
very nice
yes.
to hear, June. You're absolutely right. I'll
Yeah.
tell you something. We are professionals, and the one thing that we know very true is we know how important it is to take care of the caregivers, because once you have a strong caregiver, they're able to do a good job. So in that sense, we do want to focus on you as caregivers, your needs, and to be there for you. And this is, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you appreciate it. And yes, once you get to the market in any city, there's always a big market. And I think you're going to be very, very happy to see everything in the market here. Just like when we go traveling abroad, I always like to check out the market. That's the essence of the culture. When you go to an open air market, and yeah, I think you're going to enjoy it. Good, go travel. There's so much to see. Israel is a country for tourists, and now tourism, from what we hear on the news, is starting again. So I'm sure that you'll have many opportunities to go, group tours with guides, or, get on a bus and go on your own. Everything is on the internet, so you can have your own private guide through the internet. It's all available.
And also, I want to add last to my fellow
Go
group
ahead.
mates. I know that we had a statement. I mentioned it earlier in our group chat that don't talk to the stranger, but we are in a place wherein there's a lot of people. You meet a lot of culture. You meet a lot of uh, uh, faces. You meet. I mean, uh, try to mingle every people that you encounter, not just putting boundaries on it, but to try. just like we discussed in the previous days, that building trust, not only building trust in your employer, but as well as the people that surrounds you. So I encourage you that do not hesitate, do not afraid, just enjoy the place, just enjoy the people. We will learn a lot of things, not only in our employer, but as well other culture, other people that are other foreign people that we encounter along the way. So let's enjoy our contract here. And if we had time, let's band together. That's all.
Very,
Wow.
very encouraging. Thank you, June. Anyone else
Exactly.
like to comment about the program or questions or anything else that, comes to mind?
Ma'am, I have
Like to hear
question.
you. Hi, yes, Rochelle?
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Actually, before we start, I met some staff here in the hotel. I met him on my first night, and I asked her to buy me some water. And now he came here and he invited me. He invited me to show later to go upstairs to show me the surroundings because he said he I can take a picture outside so that I can see the surroundings in the evening. He said it's beautiful. I asked if I can accept his offer.
I don't know. Where are you? I don't know where
I'm
you
her
are.
mom in Haifa,
In
but
Haifa?
yes, ma'am. He
Where in
offered that
Haifa?
Are you in a
I'm in
hotel?
Hihelot's hotel, ma'am. Hihelot Street, ma'am.
Hillel.
He offered. He
Okay.
offered. He offered
Uh,
if
it's your
I want.
okay. So listen, I know Haifa.
Okay.
Okay, you can you can
He
ask him
he chat me. He chat.
if
Hello, yeah.
if
Sorry,
he's
ma'am.
so generous. You can ask him to take you to there is a beautiful, and in the evening there is a beautiful promenade, Louis Promenade, where
Mm-hmm.
you can see the bay all the way to Lebanon, which is absolutely beautiful. And in daylight and in the evening, it's beautiful, and you have a panoramic view uh, to the port. I recommend.
Let
Just
me,
be careful, you know.
let me ask, why are you hesitating? Huh?
Ma'am, actually, I'm afraid. I am asked if I can accept his offer,
But
but I am
why are you hesitating?
because I am afraid because I didn't know him well.
Ah, okay. So that's a good question.
Yes, ma'am. That's why
Let
I am.
let me ask you two questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you decide yourself, of course. First of all, is your quarantine finished? Because you
Not
shouldn't
yet,
go
ma'am. That's
out.
why. That's why
Okay.
I'm afraid
Yeah,
to go outside.
So if your
no, not at the
quarantine,
moment.
if your quarantine isn't finished, then then the answer is not yet. But
Yes, ma'am.
if he thinks that you are a nice young woman and he would like to somehow make contact with you, then you can tell him when your quarantine is finished that that you could. But I would go with someone that I don't know,
Yes,
only
ma'am.
to a public place. I would not go someplace where there is no one else there. Okay.
Yes,
So if
ma'am.
you go out
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
street, that seems okay to me if you don't know
Okay.
him. But if
Thank
he
you,
wants to
ma'am.
take you upstairs to the roof where there's no one there, I don't know if it's such a good idea. What do you think,
Yes,
June?
ma'am. I thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I'm just
If it's that
Yeah,
my case, ma'am, I will bring
thank you,
my
ma'am.
friend with me just to
Or
be
exactly.
bring a
sure.
friend, okay.
Yeah,
Not to be alone
exactly.
with a stranger in an isolated place. Anywhere in the world is the same
Yeah,
safety rules.
Yes.
Yes.
he may invite you, I don't know, to drive you
Thank you.
to to a location, to those promenade. There are other locations here in Haifa, and not here, I mean Jerusalem, but in Haifa. And exactly like June Rain said, take a friend with you. Okay, tell them that you like a friend to join you, not in a weird way. Just say, "Wow, I like to bring my friend with me." You
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
hi, way. Not to go alone with in a car with a person you don't know. He may
Yes.
be very friendly and welcoming,
Yes.
but again, you don't know him yet.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
And
Thank
Safety
you.
first.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you. Eventually, you may find a friend here in Israel, a very
Actually,
platonic and nice friend.
on my first night, actually, ma'am, he gave me her what is this one, the FB account, because I am on the second floor.
Facebook.
There is no telephone here.
Okay.
It's very hard to me
Okay.
to go downstairs if I have something to borrow to them. That's why we chat. If I am ask for something, we just chat.
Well, first of all, it's very nice that he's very nice. And I
Yes,
hope
ma'am.
everyone that you will meet will be very nice and that all of his intentions are very good. But
Yes,
Yeah,
you have to be safe as well.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
exactly.
so
Thank you,
yeah.
ma'am.
And
Yes,
But
ma'am.
listen,
I,
Thank
I've
you.
been I've
Thank
been
you
a
so much.
receptionist for 8 years and a front desk manager in a hotel, and we made some friends for a year, and it's been nice. But although I'm a female as well, so I needed to feel
Okay.
comfortable. I did not invite male friends to
Okay.
show them around, but just take care of yourself.
Okay.
yeah.
Thank
Be
you, ma'am.
aware.
Thank you. Thank you, Mama Anna. Thank you, Ma'am Sarah.
I want to tell you something else.
Yes, ma'am.
You're a bit vulnerable, all of you ladies, all of you pretty girls and gentlemen, being new. And I think that, people with bad intentions can know that, and, and they can take advantage of you in I don't know how many ways.
Okay.
So you must be more careful than anyone else, okay? Not to put yourself in a compromising situation. And you'll find that, Middle Eastern countries, people are very bold, they'll knock on your door and say, "Hey, sweetheart, want to come for a drink?" Or they'll whistle in the street when you go by and say, "Oh, look at that beautiful girl." And, very outgoing, very outgoing. So just take it as a compliment. Don't be insulted. And I really wouldn't respond
Thank you, Mom.
unless it's someone that you
Unless
know.
or
Thank
like,
you. Thank you, Mom Sarah.
Right,
Thank you.
right.
Thank you, Mom Anna. Thank you, Mom Sarah. Thank you.
not a problem. And thank you for asking. Thank you.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Like, it's
Thank
good
Right.
if
you.
you're checking.
Thank you.
Very smart.
Anyone else have questions, comments?
You see, it can be about anything.
Mm-hmm. You know what, Anat, you remind me of a situation when I was very young here in Israel, and I did something that I would highly recommend that you never do. I was hitchhiking. Okay, this is many, many years ago. Hitchhiking, you stand by the bus and you kind of put out a finger for someone to stop to give you a ride. Don't ever
Yeah.
do that. But this
Yeah,
is
I
many,
don't
many
recommend.
years ago. And I did that with a friend. I wasn't alone. And a man with a pickup truck stopped for us and said he was going to take us to wherever he was going to take us. We wanted to go, Tel Aviv, from Jerusalem. And he all of a sudden drove off the main road. And both of us got very scared. And in the end, he took us to a Chabad celebration.
It's
where they
religious.
a religious
It's
celebration that we'd never seen before. And it was an extraordinary experience. But that taught me a lesson that even if you are with a friend, it could have turned another way. So yes, never hitchhike if we are on the subject. Never hitchhike. Take the bus, take public transportation, any time of day or night. Find out when the last bus is, and if you miss the bus and you don't have money for a taxi, just find where to spend the night. Okay. Any other
Yeah,
questions?
but in a place where you feel safe.
Safe.
And I like to add, you may get to some places, beautiful places here in Israel where you cannot get there by public transportation. So obviously you can find public transportation for your way back. Make sure that you always have enough cash with you, not necessarily a credit card, just cash. Stay on the safe side and check everything in advance before you go to these places, to any place actually, just to make sure that you have an easy public transportation, until what time the public transportation in that area runs, because sometimes it's different from one place to the other. Some will be till 7 p.m. The other is 11. In Haifa, you'll find buses after midnight. So on your days off, when you're traveling, just check the public transportation that it's easy for you to get there. Now, I'm as a female, I'm aware that guys may
Good on you.
will not be it will not approach you in a good faith. And when I see girls on the side of the road or stuck somewhere, especially at night, I will always stop, offer a ride, just because I'm aware. And I also, like Sarah, been to different situations. I never did something like what you did, hitchhiking,
I was
because
very
it always
stupid.
scared me. No, adventurous and naive,
Naive.
and it
Exactly.
happened.
Naive and stupid.
Couldn't know, you were young and
I was
fearless.
very young. I was 19. That was 100
And
years
fearless, right?
ago. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so just always think about yourself. And the worst case, it it not necessarily, hopefully it will never happen, but just take care of yourself.
Okay.
Be responsible. Any other questions? Guys, do you have any questions? Maybe.
I'll just tell you, ladies, that in general, it is safe to walk in the streets in Israel by yourself as a woman, in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Major cities, there's really not any problem. You know, my daughters-in-law, family members, we all feel very comfortable at all hours of the day in a big city. In smaller towns, and you know, it depends. You will have to ask all of those things openly and directly the family that you're with. Okay, how to behave at what time of the day. And what we didn't talk about is Shabbat. And if you have any questions about Shabbat, then Anat and I will gladly answer your questions. But generally, you should know that many places don't have public transportation. Some do, like Haifa, but in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem, and maybe not buses, but you know, like taxis, that shared taxis, right? That are a little more expensive than a bus, but much less than a private taxi. And so, any other questions? This is the time to answer before we say goodbye.
Me, ma'am.
Yeah.
How about if there's an emergency like a police and ambulance? Your center here is 24/7. If any time we can
Yeah.
call. Okay.
Yes. Yes, no problem with that.
Okay. That's good. Thank you.
Firefighters,
Yeah.
or yes, 24/7.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Oh, I just remember regarding the shared taxis. Normally, if you get on their main stop where they start the ride, they may stay there till it's full, and they're not gonna leave the area, like their spot, and start the route before the cab is full. And share taxis, there is a 10 seats. So like in Haifa, if you want to take the share taxi from Haifa to Tel Aviv, they wait till it's full. So don't worry if you find yourself sit there for a while. Just know that this is what they do.
How about the taxi, ma'am? Like an auto car,
What?
like an auto.
Auto.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. It's the same in
Autotail,
other.
yes, yeah, like Autotail.
Yes.
You take a car for you download an application and you make a membership and like a company that has cars on the street. And then
Okay.
if you have a license and are, and have the insurance, then you can take it's called Autotail. It's a car that you can rent for a certain amount of time, for a certain amount
Okay.
of distance. If you,
But
yes, if you have a group of
Yeah.
friends, you want to go together and go someplace by yourself, it's like renting a car for short periods of time. It doesn't have to be for 24 hours. It could be for an hour. It could be for, so you can go online and check how you download the application and and how much it is to pay. But yes, perhaps if you wanted to take a trip, if you have a few friends, you can share a car and, if you have a light driving license and so on.
We
but
had
you need
egg.
to have an international driving license.
Okay, that's
Okay.
good. That's wonderful. It would be honored here in Israel, and you can do that as well if you need to go, if you want to go travel somewhere. Highly
We had-
When you
recommend it.
pay for insurance as well.
It's part of renting a car,
Okay.
it's part of that. No matter where you go in the world, when you rent a car, there's their insurance and so on.
Some of our group are conducting a swab test for tomorrow and taking a taxi cab. So they can pick a taxi on the way. That
You know what? I'll send you a link to an app called Get Taxi.
okay.
Okay, and you can reserve a taxi. It's very friendly app. It's find you a taxi, someone who is a member, and they're very responsible. You have to some places a fixed rate. You always get a receipt by your
Okay.
email.
That's good.
You can pay with credit card or cash, and it's safe. And on the app, it finds someone in the area and it writes down what's the distance, how long it will take them to get to your location. Okay, and then it's not a fixed payment, it's by the meter. It's charged by the meter, but it's fixed by the law.
Fixed rate.
The rate,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, thank you, Sarah. So you know that
You're
they're
paying the
not
right
gonna
price.
they're not charge any extra, or they're doing everything by the law. And you have the same on the app, a place where you can make a complaint if necessary. By the end of the ride, you you can write a review or grade them, the driver, and it's very important for them to get a good grade because it's important to the company. And I know.
I suggest you use them.
Yeah.
Okay. We will wait
Yeah,
for
they're
the
good.
link, ma'am, because
Yes,
some of
I
my
will
group
send you.
really need it for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yes, I just wrote it down, so I will
Okay.
not forget. And regarding what we discussed before about staying safe as females, I will also send you a link. It's called a safe app. It's for females only.
Oh,
Okay. where you can, when you get this app on your phone, it will, if you're going in a place, in an area where you, when you feel you need to have someone with you on the phone, or in case of emergency, if you feel scared when you go in an alley or something and you want to have someone with you, you can just press the link and someone will get on the phone with you. They're all volunteers, and she will stay with you till you feel safe. In case of emergency, if something happens, they ask you questions to guide, but not uh, uh, will not be put you in any risk. And
Okay.
they have the options by your answers to know if it's necessary to call the police, or in case you need an ambulance, if you're at risk, and they get your location automatically, and a video, and they can record it. So I will send you this link as well.
That's a
And
good
it's a
idea,
free app.
Anna.
Thank
It's
you,
a
ma'am.
That's
free app.
nice.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's
Thank
a
you.
volunteer organization of women.
It's not
that
an organization. It's two ladies. About a year ago, they uh, opened this app, and again, it's for females only.
Mm.
Okay, and they're all volunteers. I do it as well, and every single one of them have the option to press on the link if she wants someone on the other side, and it could be up to two different women who answer
Okay.
your call, so they stay with you till you feel safe.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I will
Thank
send it
you.
to you. Yeah, I will send on the group on Viber.
Okay, ma'am.
Hi,
Ma'am,
hi, Pete.
ma'am, how about the green pass that I read an article a day ago?
Yeah, you will
Uh,
get it. If you need to get your vaccines here in Israel, um, your placement agency or your employer will help you schedule an appointment, and after you get your vaccine, after the second or the third vaccine, you can go to the Ministry of Health website and download the Green Pass. Okay, and in case you already had your vaccine at your placement agency or the employer, to contact the Ministry of Health and get your Green Pass. Okay.
You know it's free. The vaccine is
Yeah,
free.
it's
The
free.
green pass is free. It's all free to anyone
Yeah.
and everyone that's in the country.
In Israel. Yeah.
how about if we are fully vaccinated in our country? How can we present, and how the Ministry of Health will accept our vaccination card and give us the green pass?
What kind of vaccine do you have?
I have Pfizer, and some of my group had
Perfect.
Moderna and Johnson, and the fourth one is the Sinovac.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about it the other day that here in Israel use Pfizer and Moderna. Okay. Now, in any case, you're supposed to have your certificate from the Philippines, from your Ministry of Health.
Yes.
You're supposed to have it here with you, and your placement agency or employer will help you contact the Ministry of Health,
Okay.
and they will go over all the details and see if they approve it
Okay.
or not, or in case they will ask you to go and have another vaccine. Okay, and then
Okay.
you will get your green pass. I don't
Okay.
think there won't be a problem, because before you got here to Israel, you needed to send your medical records and all the information. And
Yes.
they did say that you're allowed to enter Israel. So they are aware that you had different vaccines for some of you.
Okay. Thank you.
Not a problem. Hey, Gigi, you wanted to ask something.
Now, I just want to ask mom about the change of employer. So
Yeah,
if you want to change employer, mom, how many months is the maximum time to change?
there is none.
Okay, so
You
that's
can do
it.
it next week. There is none.
Yeah, maybe mom they, for all I know, they will investigate. So something like that.
What? Again?
They investigate what will happen why you have to change the employer
No,
or
no,
no.
no, no. Only if you do it often. Like if you do it, let's say, I'm just saying a number. It's not necessarily true, but like if you're changing 5 different placement agencies in a short period of time, they may raise an eyebrow. Like uh, they wonder what's going on. They may question you.
Okay.
Even 3 different placement agency in like I don't know a year. That means that you also change your employer because each employer register with a specific placement agency. You can, I'm not sure if you can still work with the same employer, just change placement agency. I'm not sure it's working that way. Sarah,
Yes,
do you know
I
maybe?
just want to ask mom, but praying I will not change my employer.
It's not a problem.
Hopefully you don't need.
First of all, the most important thing is to make an effort to solve any issues that you have with the employer. And if you don't find the right way, Nympha told us yesterday that she changed
Yes.
twice in the beginning. And now she understands that she has an okay employer. She gets along with the family, and they are honest with all of the payments and so on. And the patient is the patient, and so right. So she understands that. So sometimes it takes a while until you understand, that they're not all young, healthy, vibrant people. They're old and and disabled people. And so, you can choose from maybe 2 or 3 or 4, but in the end, you have to kind of settle in and do the job that you came to do.
Yes, because I was scared of what Nympha told yesterday.
What
That
did she say?
she changed employer 2 times. Then it is in my mind that, oh, how if I am that one, how did
Well,
I?
I think that, excuse me, Gigi, but I think that, she was very straightforward and said the first
Yes.
employer, she had a difficult time with the daughter. She couldn't understand what she wanted. And the second employer, she felt she was being cheated with her money. And so, that's her prerogative to choose a third one. And when she found an employer that she felt that she had good communication with the family and that they were honest and straightforward with, the payments, then she's very happy where she is. So if you have a legitimate problem, then you must consult, the agency, and they will try to find you another employer. I mean, the point is that if it's not good, you don't have to stay there unless,
Yes.
you can resolve the situation.
Yes.
Anyone
Thank you,
else?
mom. Thank you.
Mom, I will really use the time that we are together. Some of my group mates asked me to raise this kind. I don't know if it's really a concern or what, but she asked me about if we had an off for that week and then we don't want to go out, if it's really possible for us to eat as well the food in the house. Or because I told her that uh I I assume that we are possible to eat what is inside the fridge, but if you had these allowances that the employer gave it to you, and the instances is that you don't have food on your room, then I guess you need to buy from the allowance that they gave to you. I don't know if it's if it's the right way, or if it's, I don't know, because her concern is that if it's possible for us in a day off not to spend outside but rather inside the house, but then the cases would be, what if they had not enough food anymore? They are still allowed to eat, or it really depends on the agreement of your employer?
Um, I'll let Anat answer, or Margareta, but I will just tell you that today I had a conversation with a friend of mine who
Okay.
has a foreign worker living with their mother. And she tells me, listen, they go shopping every week. You know, her husband takes the caregiver shopping. And she says, I can't believe it. She buys whatever she wants, obviously. We pay for it. And the two ladies eat more than me and my husband eat. So, it depends. If you ask me, it depends on the family that you're with. If you become a good cook and she likes your cooking, and the family has no issues about what to buy and so on, then you eat when you want what you want. If there is issues about food, then it must be resolved between you and the family. Margareta, perhaps you have other insights that you want to add?
Thank you, Ma'am Sarah.
No, good question. It's important.
Hi, everybody. Sorry that I joined just towards the end of the meeting, but I'm happy that I had this chance to. Just actually, no more comments it says this time, Sarah. I would just agree with you. It basically individual. There's no rule about that. Okay, so I understand that this question or concern could have come from different people, from several people, not from only one person. But there's no right answer. Right? It's individual how you will coordinate or what you will agree to do with your employer, and your employer is not responsible for that. It's not his or her obligation. But often it's true that happens that you eat in the same place. Sometimes people feel, the workers feel more comfortable with food, sometimes less. But it's something that again, you will see. I will just draw it from Sarah's story. Yeah, that I hope nobody wants to find himself or herself in the same situation, eating more than employers, or basically just not to overuse the openness or the kindness of another person with a relationship. But it's just it's so general rule about all kinds of relationships that we have in life. Yeah, we can't overdo it, overuse some when somebody is giving to us. We can also should not overgive. Yeah, it should be balanced basically, but just on a human level rule. But on a practical, just terms, you will just see what will work for you and your employer.
It will develop over time. You will figure it out.
I do want to tell you that in the past I have had the experience that caregivers did complain because I was in a in a work-related situation where I was in contact with caregivers, and not very often, I must say. And over many, many years, only once I came across a caregiver that complained to me that that the employer's son, who was in charge of the money, was not providing enough money for them to eat properly. Okay, so this was, he gave the caregiver an allowance for food, and she had to buy food for her and for the client. And she complained that it was not enough. And so I came across that once in many, many years. So if this is the situation, you know, you have a legitimate reason to ask to change an employer. But it really shouldn't be an issue. But like Margareta said, you have to discuss things openly, ask all of those questions. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Okay.
I already registered my number to the CME. And what if I want to change my number? Can I register again?
Yes, you can register to the call center
As much.
with your new number.
You can register to the call center as much as you want.
Yeah, if you have any new number, it's okay. It will delete your old registration.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other questions, maybe? Okay. All right.
So I will wish everyone,
No, just a second.
not yet? Okay, one
Not
more
yet.
slide.
Oops. So we said many times before, but I will say it again. We stay in touch. Again, I strongly recommend to register to our call center when you will get your Israeli SIM card, or for the ones who already have their Israeli SIM card. Here you can contact our number, and of course we here on the Viber group. Okay. Please contact us if you need anything. Don't wait till it's emergency and you need an SOS help. Do it in advance so it will be available for you in time of need. I wanted to say another thing, but I forgot. And of course, we're gonna send you an information if there is any new information relevant to you. Okay. All right. So I like to thank everyone for participating, for asking questions, for being here here in Israel to do this important job, work. And Margarita, do you like anything to it? Sorry.
Yeah, we just also wish you lots of luck and success, and to achieve the goals that each of one has, and you know, to experience and to see this beautiful country to the extent possible. We understand that, you know, that your specific job is much more demanding than, you know, average person or average profession. So we will have less time for that on one hand. On the other hand, it's still really important for your soul and for, you know, for your good spirit, for your good feeling to do that. So I hope you will find time and find other ways to support yourself, to enjoy yourself. I also want to wish you, I don't know if the right word passion, but to get through, you know, very first period, which would be, you know, it's always the beginning of something is always challenging, but it's also, you know, the beginning of this new stage of your life is going to be challenged for someone more, for someone less. It depends, you know, on yourself. It depends on employer. But I hope you will go, you know, through this stage with, you know, with the with all the tools and skills and your personality that you brought with you. And we hope that, you know, some things that we shared with you during this week will also help you. And yeah, and we are not saying goodbye. We will stay in touch. And if you'll need anything, I hope you'll find a way to, you know, what works for you better through the Viber group, through personal message, through call center, to get in contact with us and, you know, to get assistance that you need. I also hope that you will support each other as a group of this specific flight, but not only other caregivers that came before you. And, you know, so as you also know, there is a large community of Filipino migrants that came before G2G. So hope you again find also your circles of support, let's put it this way. And having said that, we'll be also careful with, you know, kind of, unfortunately, people with, you know, who present themselves as very good and, you know, wish you to help. Also be sensitive to that. Basically, don't trust easily to very, very good offers.
Don't spend any money for 6 months until you know where and what.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody assists, yeah, it's a good key. If somebody offer you some sort of assistance and you need to pay for that, that even it's a very, very small money. It's not a good sign. So be careful about that. That's
okay. You can, and if you're not sure, check with our call center. They may be able to assist. We're trying our best to answer any question that may appear or complain, and it's free of charge, and we do it in responsible way by the law and the best that we can do. And again, it's free of charge, and we are here for you. We build it for you. So stay in touch, and we will stay in touch.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
We're not leaving. We're not saying goodbye forever. We're here. We're staying here, and hopefully we will see you in the next program that we will have in the future. Not the welcoming program, orientation. All right, so thank you, everyone. I will share the links today, this evening. I'm not sure if it will be right after the meeting, but I will share everything we talked about, okay? Regarding the Get Taxi app, I will send as soon as possible. You need to reserve the cab few minutes before you need to use the cab, their services, okay? You can do it in advance unless it's for a place is very far from you. But in case it's close and you need to get somewhere close, you need to reserve it like 5-10 minutes before. Okay.
Hi,
So-
guys.
Thank you, Ma'am.
Best
Thank you,
of
Ma'am
luck.
Thank
Sarah.
you, Mom Sarah, Ma'am
Thank
Megan, and
you,
Ma'am.
It's going to be good.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you so much, Ma'am, for being
Thank you
here.
so much.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Beatzlacha.
Beatzlacha.
And have a lovely stay here in Israel.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.